Hello everyone, welcome to Arth. I am Amit Kumar. Friends, in this lecture we are going to discuss very important topic, that is Raisina Dialogue, and this topic is important for your prelims, means as well as in interview, right? So before knowing or directly jumping into the topic, first you should know why we are going to discuss this topic, or what is the importance of this topic, Raisina Dialogue, because recently this dialogue, that is Raisina Dialogue, has been concluded in Delhi, right? So let's see. Under this topic, we are going to discuss first, right? First, we are going to discuss why Raisina Dialogue is important for UPSC. I told you this topic is very important for your prelims. If you are going to attempt prelims this year, then this topic is going to be very important, even for means and in interview, right? So then we will see what is Raisina Dialogue. What is Raisina Dialogue? As we are discussing about this topic, we should know first the basic things about this dialogue, right? Then we will see the background, okay, when it started or its origin, right? Then we will see the main topic, that is Raisina Dialogue 2025. Its theme, its key highlights, right, important decisions or whatever has taken place, right? Geopolitical significance for India, economic and strategic dimensions, right? And lastly, India's role in climate diplomacy, right? All these things we are going to discuss, right? So let's start one by one. First, I told you that this topic is going to be very important for all the three stages of exam of UPSC, right? So first, this is important for, as I told you, that it provides real side or real time, right, real time insights into international relations. Obviously, from IR's perspective, this is also very important, right? And crucial for prelims, means and means which part, GS paper 2, IR part, right? Even essay paper, right? IR related topic can come and you can use this topic in essay, right? Even interview, for interview this topic is, even if you are appearing for this year's interview or next year, right, this topic might help you, right? Again, it connects India's foreign policy with global challenges, obviously, right? We will see all these things further. It highlights India's strategic priorities in geopolitics and economy. Obviously, all these things we are going to discuss further, right? So first, what is Raisina Dialogue, right? Raisina Dialogue, listen, it's simple. It is a conference. It is a conference on geopolitics and geo-economics issues, right? Simple, as its name is dialogue, right? So it is a, in simple terms, you can call it a conference of what? Of global leaders, civil societies, right? Global think tanks, right? So simple. I have simply tried to define it, that it is India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geo-economics, both geopolitics and geo-economics, organized annually by what? Observer Research Foundation. You must have heard the name, right? It is a think tank, right? So it is organized by whom? This question may be asked in your prelims, that it is organized by whom? Ministry of External Affairs, Observer Research Foundation, Government of India, or what, right? So it is organized annually by Observer Research Foundation. It is a think tank, and what? In collaboration with Ministry of External Affairs, right? Both. Simple. Again, since its inception 2016, listen, one thing I would like to tell you, that this year's dialogue, Raisina Dialogue, is the 10th Raisina Dialogue, because it originated in 2016. We will see its background, okay, don't worry. Simply you should know the definition, right? And the dialogue has evolved into a key platform for discussing pressing global issues, right? Global issues, bringing together world leaders. As I told you, that it includes world leaders, PM, prime ministers, right? Other diplomats, right? Civil societies, all this come to come on one platform, right? Policymakers, strategists, and other scholars, right? If you have seen this dialogue, right, you can clearly found, right, such persons, world leaders, policymakers, strategists, scholars, all this, right? Now, what is the background? As I told you that this dialogue, or you can say conference, started which year? In 2016, right? And this year's conference means Raisina Dialogue was 10th dialogue, right? So already I told you it is an annual multilateral conference, right? World leaders, policymakers, strategists, scholars, civil societies, all participate in this conference, right? And where it is held? It is held in New Delhi. Why? Listen, why its name is Raisina, right? You are you must be aware that Raisina is the seat of government of India, including Rashtrapati Bhavan, right? And that's why its name is Raisina Dialogue, right? Simple. And it is based on, you would be knowing that it is similar to Shangri-La Dialogue, right? You must be knowing about Shangri-La Dialogue, no need to discuss about that here, right? So simply, New Delhi focusing on what? Geopolitics and geo-economics. These two are main issue: geopolitics and geo geo-economics, right? Established 2016, as I told you. And what? It is a prominent platform for discussing global challenges, right? Global challenges with, for example, terrorism, right? Economic issues, environmental issues, right? Or any other strategic issues, right? Now you should know about the first conference that took place in 2016, and its session was focusing on, first started 2016. Which year it started? 2016. And it focused on what? Asia, right? Regional and global connectivity first. But this year's, what is the theme of this year, right? We will see in further slides, right? Organized and structure, what? Already I told you that organized by Observer Research Foundation, that is a think tank, in collaboration with Ministry of External Affairs, right? And already I told you that it has, or it is modeled after conference like Shangri-La Dialogue, right? Simple. Where is Shangri-La? Right? You can comment in the comment box, right? It brings together, already I told you, policymakers, experts, leaders to engage cross-sectoral discussion. Cross-sectoral discussion means, right, discussion of different sectors, right? Either it is politics, economics, environment, right, or any other global issue, right, on international affairs. Simple. Naming and significance, already I told you that Raisina Dialogue is derived from Raisina Hills, New Delhi, right? And what? It is the seat of government of India, including Rashtrapati Bhavan, right? And it symbolizes India's commitment to global governance and international collaboration, right? Simple. Now, moving towards the next, what is the theme, right? Even this question may be asked in your prelims, that what was the theme, right, of Raisina Dialogue 2025, right? So theme was what? Simple: people, peace, and planet. That was the theme of Raisina Dialogue 2025, right? This year's theme, right? You can remember the date, but not necessary. But simply you should know that it took place in March 2025, right? Which from 17th to 19th March, right? And it was 10th edition, right? Or 10th anniversary, you can say, right? And already I told you, theme is what? Kālachakra. Kālachakra. People, peace, and planet. This was the theme of Raisina Dialogue 2025. This is very important. You should know, right? Symbolizing the interconnectedness of global challenges and the need for a sustainable, peaceful, and inclusive world order, right? So simply, what you can clearly see, what is the focus? Focus is first people, then peace, and lastly planet, right? These three words include all, or you can say whole Earth. People, peace, planet. Right? Now you can see this was the actual, you can say the theme of Raisina Dialogue 2025. Right? Right? Kālachakra, people, peace, and planet. Right? Now you can see that who was the chief guest of this year's Raisina Dialogue. Right? You must be knowing, and you can see the clearly in this picture, right, that our honorable Prime Minister is welcoming the chief guest of Raisina Dialogue. And who is he? Right? He is the what? Prime Minister of New Zealand. Right? He is, right, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon. Right? And he is our honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. Right? So Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the event and New Zealand's Prime Minister, what, Christopher Luxon, right? Clearly you can see that delivered the keynote address, right? And again, over 125 countries. How many countries? You can imagine how important this conference was. Over means more than 125 countries participated, right? Including their what, foreign ministers, former head of state, security experts, and academic scholars. Right? So you can't skip this topic. Very relevant, very important. Right? For all the three stages of examination of UPSC. Right? Now you can see some of the pictures of Raisina Dialogue. Right? Now, what are the key highlights of Raisina Dialogue? Right? I have tried to summarize in very brief, right? So that, and to the point, so that you can grab it. Right? So there are 6 major themes crucial from exam perspective, right, which has been discussed in Raisina Dialogue. Right? So just see one by one. First is, right, first you should listen, you should remember these themes. Right? You will, or you can write all these themes in your mains answer. Right? Or even in interview they can ask you these themes. Right? So first is what, politics interrupted. Second is resolving the green trilemma. Third, digital planet. Fourth, militant mercantilism. Fifth, the tiger's tail. And sixth, investing in peace. These are 6 themes, right, or major themes of Raisina Dialogue 2025. Right? Means these 6 topics were discussed in this dialogue, this conference. Right? So simply first is politics interrupted. Here it was discussed that we should, means leaders should examine, or leaders examined, right, the shift of global power dynamics. Right? Shift in global power dynamics. You can clearly see that now world is going towards the multipolar world rather than unipolar or bipolar. Multipolar, or of multipolar means what, many countries are trying to become superpower. Right? That's why there is shift in global power dynamics. Right? And the rise of multipolarity, I already told you that now world is not unipolar or bipolar, but multipolar. Especially developing countries or developed countries, other developed countries are trying to become superpower. Right? Example, China, even India is also, but right, but India is, right, you can say it will take time. And impact of regional conflicts, all these were discussed in this, under this theme. Second, resolving the green trilemma. Here green trilemma means what, it is related with the environment, right, global planet. Right? So here, sustainable energy transition, climate financing, and global carbon commitment was discussed, right? Sustainable energy transition means from non-renewable energy, non-renewable to renewable, renewable sources of energy. This is called sustainable energy transition, right? For example, using solar energy, right? Solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, right? All these are nothing but source of renewable energy, right? So that global emission, carbon emission can be reduced and global warming can be tackled, right? Climate financing, right? And global carbon commitments. All countries have committed that we will, and the different countries have different commitment, right? That we will control our carbon emission till certain year, right? Or after a particular year, right? Digital planet. Digital planet means what? Here, mostly the new technology that is related with cyber security, right? Cyber warfare, data security, cyber warfare, artificial intelligence in global governance, right? All these were discussed, right, under digital planet theme. Again, fourth theme is militant mercantilism. Militant mercantilism means what? It is here trade wars. You would be knowing, you must be knowing trade wars. Trade wars means what? War related with trade. For example, increasing or decreasing tariffs, right? Imposing restrictions on imported goods, right? All these things are nothing but what? Trade wars. Example of trade wars, right? Shifting supply chains and economic protectionism. Economic protectionism, nothing but, for example, anti-dumping duty, right? Or imposing high duties on imported goods. So all these are nothing but economic protectionism, right? So that economy under or within the border of a country can be protected, right? Fifth theme, it was what? The tiger's tail. Tiger's tail means what? Here, India's growth model, right, was analyzed. India's growth model was analyzed and its evolving role in the global economy. All these things means simple. The tiger's tail, it simple means here India's economic growth model, economic or global regarding its role in global economy was analyzed, right? And last thing was investing in peace. Investing in peace, what? How peace can be established? For example, certain countries are in war, right? For example, Russia, Ukraine, or you easily know Israel, Hamas issues, right? So all this, if such type of conflicts can be, right, neglected, right, then peace can be established. So simply here, resolving what? Or conflict resolution, right? Strategies, peace building, and diplomatic interventions. All this can establish peace, right? Again, I am repeating: conflict resolution, peace building, and diplomatic interventions can establish global peace, right? So all these were 6 major themes discussed in Raisina Dialogue 2025, right? Now, what are the geopolitical significance for India, right? So here, 3 geopolitical significance are for India. First is, right? First is strengthening India's global position, right? First, how India's global position can be strengthened. For that, India shows itself as a leader in multilateral diplomacy and South-South cooperation, right? So listen, India now, right, its foreign policy is now broader, more broader than earlier years. More broader means it has become multilateral, right? Not only focusing on neighbors, but also in East Asia, West Asia, and other even different parts of world. Even we are moving towards African countries, right? Not only European or America, right? We are focusing on building relations with African countries, right? So this is called multilateral diplomacy. And what South-South cooperation? You must be knowing South-South cooperation. Generally, what happens is that if this is globe and most of the countries, right, most of the developing countries, right, lies in southern part of world, right? So this is called South-South cooperation, right? Cooperation among these poor or developing countries, right? The event reinforced India's Act East and Neighborhood First policy. Also, I told you that still India is focusing on what? Neighborhood First and Act East policy, right? Act East policy is focusing towards East Asia, right, or eastern part of world, right? This was all about. Second, India's stance, right, on global conflicts. Global conflicts means what? For example, if two countries, right, are in war with, are having war, right, that time, or any other global conflict, India's balanced approach to issue like Russia Ukraine tensions, Israel Palestine conflicts, and Indo-Pacific security was discussed, right? Listen, always have a balanced approach, right? Diplomatically, it is considered that a country should be balanced, not biased, right? Especially at global level, that is called diplomacy, right? Though sometimes biasness can be seen, or biasness can take place, but generally, and in case of India always try to maintain a balanced approach, right? Whether it is Russia Ukraine issue, or Israel Palestine issue, or any other global conflict, right? India always try to balance or fix a balanced approach, right? Again, India's push for reforming global institutions like UN, IMF, WTO was highlighted, right? India's push for reforming global institutions, right? For example, UN, WTO, IMF, World Bank, all these are for last few years reforms are being demanded, right? There should be certain reforms. For example, the number of seats in UN's Security Council, right, should be increased, right? And the demand is going on for last few years, right? So such things were also discussed. Another issue, Indo-Pacific strategy and maritime security, right? Indo-Pacific region and maritime security, it was also discussed here. What Quad, you must be knowing, four countries: India, US, Japan, Australia, right? And its role in countering China's expansionism, right? Simple, were also point of discussion, right? How we can, or Quad can counter China's expansionist policy, right? This was also discussed. Again, India's commitment to free, open, and rule-based Indo-Pacific was emphasized. So all these things were, or geopolitical issues were discussed in Raisina Dialogue 2025, right? All these points are very important for your means perspective, even your prelims perspective, right? Now, economic and strategic dimensions, right? So just see. So here, India positioned itself as a hub for global supply chain post pandemic. Post pandemic means after COVID. After COVID, COVID-19, right? India positioned itself as a global hub for what? Supply chain. Global supply chain. Second, discussions on BRICS expansion. Okay, you must be aware about BRICS, right? So the expansion of BRICS was also discussed, that it should be expanded. Other important countries or willing countries can be joined in, or can be member of BRICS. This was also discussed. G20 presidency, right, outcomes were also discussed. You must be aware that last year, right, India was what? Or India chaired the G20 summit, right? Again, lastly, the role of AI, artificial intelligence, in economic development was significant. All these things were discussed. Again, India's push for a new financial order, right, with emphasis on de-dollarization. De-dollarization means listen. De-dollarization simply means that exchange of, right, goods, right, should be or can be done in other currencies, right? For example, what happens that till date, mostly at international level, trades are practiced in dollars, right? Dollars means American dollars, right? But now countries are focusing on de-dollarization. De-dollarization means they are trying to exchange goods, right, or services in their own rupees or own currency, right, or any other valuable goods, right? This is called de-dollarization, right? And digital currencies was debated. Digital currencies means, for example, Bitcoin, digital currency, right? Now, climate diplomacy. India's role in climate diplomacy. Here, two important points were discussed. What? First, you can see India's net zero 2070 target. Right? India has targeted that till 2070, right, we will be net zero country. Net zero country means our carbon emission will be zero, right? This was also discussed. And life, you must be aware of this program of government that is called life. Full form is lifestyle for environment, right? All these movements were major discussion points, right? Again, India's leadership in solar energy, right? I told you that transition, right? Energy transition, or you can say renewable energy transition. For example, using solar energy, hydrogen, and what global climate financing was emphasized, right? So all these were discussed under climate diplomacy, right? Lastly, the final thoughts about Raisina dialogue, right? So Raisina dialogue 2025, right? It reinforced India's role as a responsible global power advocating for diplomacy, peace, and sustainable growth. What three things were focused? Diplomacy, peace, and sustainable growth. Right? Again, it serves as a barometer of global politics and helps aspirants understand the intersection of diplomacy, economics, and strategic affairs. Right? So this was all about Raisina dialogue. Right? Just have a recap. Right? Right? So we have discussed why Raisina dialogue is important for UPSC. Second, we have discussed what is Raisina dialogue. Then we knew about the background of Raisina dialogue, right? Then we saw Raisina dialogue 2025's main theme and key highlights. We discussed how many themes? 6 themes, right? Geopolitical significance for India, economic and strategic dimensions, and India's role in climate diplomacy. So this all these things we have discussed in this lecture. We will meet in another lecture. Till then, keep revising because exam is very close, right? Thank you for watching.